Hi guys, today we are going to find out what if Pangaea had never broken apart? You're standing barefoot on a beach that never ends, horizon fused with haze, your toes sinking into sand that stretches farther than Google Maps dares render. The sun doesn't set here so much as slump sideways, dragging shadows across a landmass so vast your phone's compass spins like a drunk ballerina. You check your GPS. No signal, obviously. The nearest coast is 3,000 miles behind you. You squint eastward, then westward, then realize there's no east or west anymore. Just more beige, more heat shimmer, more identical dunes pretending to be geography. A vulture circles overhead, bored. Even it knows there's nowhere left to migrate. You try to recall the smell of salt water. Can't. Your brain offers sand instead, and dust, and the faint memory of someone mentioning oceans in a dream you dismissed as fiction. You wipe sweat from your brow with a sigh. A caravan of yak lizards plods past, their riders wearing hats made of cactus spines and optimism. You ask for directions. They laugh. Direction to what? One snorts. The edge? Myth. You consider joining them. Briefly. You sit. The ground is warm, like a laptop left charging too long. You wonder if humanity ever built boats here. Probably not. Why sail when the sea is a bedtime story parents tell to shut kids up? You pull out your canteen. It's half full or half empty. Depends if you're the kind of person who believes rain exists beyond the next mountain range, which, spoiler, it doesn't. Not reliably, not here. You hear distant drums. Or maybe it's your stomach or tectonic plates gossiping. Hard to tell when the world's one big land buffet with no exits. You stand up. Sitting attracts scorpions and philosophers. Equally dangerous. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I'll pretend to read them. Now, sit back and let's dive into today's alternate journey together. You trudge forward, not because you know where you're going, but because stopping means admitting this supercontinent won. And you? You're too stubborn for that. You trudge inland, and the air thickens, not with humidity, but with the weight of unbroken landmass pressing down like a wool blanket left in a sauna. Your shirt sticks to your back before noon. The equator isn't a line here. It's a belt of molten boredom, where lizards nap on rocks that hiss when touched. You try to pet one. It flicks its tongue, unimpressed. You respect the boundaries. Polar zones? Forget snowmen. Think dusty tundra, where mammoth bears yawn in the shade of fossilized ferns. You ask a local if winter ever comes. He laughs, spits, says, "Winter's a fairy tale for weak ankles. Coastal jungles? More like suffocating green walls that exhale at you. Vines slap your face like over-enthusiastic relatives. You swat one away. It slaps back. You apologize. It doesn't care. Nothing here does. Rain doesn't fall. It ambushes. One moment you're sipping tepid cactus juice, next you're submerged under a sky-sized bucket. No warning, no rainbow. Just you, soaked socks, and existential regret in 98% humidity. Mountains don't divide climates, they hoard them. You climb one hoping for breeze. Instead, you find a summit covered in steaming moss and a family of winged sloths judging your life choices. Deserts stretch like yawns across continents, swallowing caravans whole. You pass a sign. Last water 400 miles. It's written in 3 languages, all of them extinct. You keep walking. Hydration is a myth anyway. You meet a trader who claims he's seen the wet place. You lean in. He describes mist, damp soil, actual puddles. You offer him your boots. He laughs, says it's a bedtime story for dehydrated fools. Nights don't cool, they just… Pause. The air sits on your chest like a cat who's claimed you as furniture. You stare up. Stars? Blurred by atmospheric soup. Constellations? Replaced by corporate satellite logos. You collapse under a baobab the size of a mall, roots wide enough to host town meetings. A beetle the size of your fist offers you a berry. You take it, probably poisoned. Worth it for flavor. You wake to the sound of feathers rustling. Not birds, but crocodiles. Yes, crocodiles. With wings. Or at least feathered forelimbs they insist are wings. You blink. They blink back. Nobody's impressed. Evolution here didn't branch. It collided. Sloths climb trees using prehensile tails and opposable thumbs. You watch one knit a sweater mid-nap. You applaud. It ignores you. Fair. You'd ignore you too. Camels? Gone. Replaced by dromedaloxes, camel-antelope-ox hybrids that spit glitter when startled. You test this. It works. You're now shiny and slightly sticky. Worth it for the TikTok potential. Fish never left the rivers. Why swim upstream when the ocean's a myth? You meet a salmon that's lived in the same bend for 47 years. It complains about the neighbors. You relate. Predators don't stalk. They negotiate. A saber-toothed tiger approaches, sits politely, and offers you a trade. Your left shoe for safe passage. You counter with your hat. It accepts. You walk lopsided. Insects evolve dignity. Beetles wear monocles. Ants unionized. You try to cross a bridge made of interlocked ant abdomens. They demand toll in sugar cubes. You pay? Labor rights matter, even here. Plants developed sass. Carnivorous ferns hiss if you get too close. One offers you tea. You decline. It mutters something about ungrateful mammals. You apologize. It doesn't forgive. Plants hold grudges. Flight isn't for birds alone. Rodents glide on membranes stretched between elbows and knees. You see a flying squirrel deliver mail. It tips its tiny hat. You tip yours back. Mutual respect. Marine life? Trapped inland. Octopuses now climb trees, ink squirting territorial warnings onto bark. You find one writing poetry. It's good. Dark, existential. You leave a 5-star Yelp review in berry juice. You befriend a 6-legged fox with bioluminescent ears. It leads you to water, or what passes for it, a mud puddle humming show tunes. You drink anyway. Survival tastes like regret and jazz hands. You try to buy silk. Not for fashion, for diplomacy. Turns out there's no Silk Road. No road at all, really. Just endless dirt paths locals call the maybe way. You sigh. Globalization died in its crib here. Trade is hyper-local. You barter llama wool for turnips. Then turnips for flint. Then flint for a slightly used map drawn on yak hide. It's mostly doodles. One corner says maybe water. You treasure it. Currency? Shells. Not seashells, land shells. Snail shells, beetle shells, fossilized turtle shells polished to a shine. You carry a pouch. It clinks. People respect you now, or pity you. Hard to tell. Exports don't exist. Why ship goods when the customer is 3,000 miles away and probably dead by the time your cart arrives? You meet a merchant who tried. His great-grandson still pushes the same cart. Imported spices? Myth. All flavor comes from local lichen that screams when harvested. You try it. The soup tastes like regret and existential dread. You add more salt. It doesn't help. The lichen files a complaint. You attend a trade fair. It's just 20 people standing in a circle, swapping socks and apologizing. One man offers you a tooth. Guaranteed from a dragon, he whispers. You decline. He understands. No ports, no harbors, no salty sailors with questionable tattoos. Instead, you get dust brokers, middlemen who specialize in moving sand from one dune to another. You hire one. He takes your money and naps. Luxury goods, a comb made of mammoth ivory, a hat woven from storm-resistant grass, a flask that keeps liquid lukewarm for up to 4 hours. You splurge. You feel fancy. Briefly. Then it rains. Black markets thrive underground, literally. Tunnels beneath bazaars trade in contraband, dried moss from the north, fermented cactus tears, and, gasp, maps that claim to show the edge. You buy one. It's a child's drawing. You realize economies here aren't built on growth, they're built on endurance. You stop chasing wealth, start chasing shade, and clean socks. Priorities shift when the world is one big yard sale with no returns. You arrive at the capital, not a city, but a sprawl, a never-ending grid of mud bricks, yurts, and bureaucratic tents stitched together by ambition and exhaustion. Welcome to Pangaeopolis. Population? Everyone who didn't escape. The empire calls itself the Unified Horizon. In practice, it's 17 warlords pretending to like each other, one emperor who naps through meetings, and a tax code written on cave walls in disappearing ink. You try to file a complaint. The clerk sighs, stamps your form with a potato, and says, "Come back when the monolith shifts." You ask what that means. He winks. You're pretty sure he's stoned. On lichen. Roads don't lead anywhere. They lead to more roads. You follow one for 3 days. It ends at a guy selling lukewarm broth and existential advice. You buy both. The advice is better. Stop walking, he says. You consider it. The military? A rotating draft of reluctant uncles and over-caffeinated teens. You get conscripted during lunch. They hand you a spear made of glued-together twigs. You ask for armor. They laugh. Morale is your armor, they say. Taxes are paid in labor, lint, or mildly amusing stories. You tell them about the time you met a poetry-writing octopus. They waive your taxes for a year. You feel weirdly proud and slightly exploited. Rebellions flare weekly, not with fire, with paperwork. Dissidents submit forms in triplicate requesting regional autonomy. The empire stamps "denied" in beet juice. The rebels file again. It's the world's dullest revolution. You attend a Senate meeting. It's held in a repurposed llama stable. Senators argue over whether the wet place qualifies as a sovereign territory. One throws a cactus. Democracy is alive, barely. Smelly, but alive. The royal family claims descent from the first rock. You see a portrait. It's a boulder with a crown. You salute. Better safe than crushed by divine sedimentary vengeance. Tradition matters, even dumb tradition. Empires don't fall here. They sprawl until they forget why they started. You sit on a crumbling wall, watching bureaucrats chase each other with clipboards. You whisper, "This is what forever looks like," and it's beige. You order coffee, or try to. The barista stares blankly, then asks, "You mean bean water with hot sadness?" You nod. She scribbles your name, wrongly, on a clay tablet. Progress is slow, but caffeinated. Language here didn't diversify, it melted. Everyone speaks Globish, a slurry of grunts, hand gestures, and loanwords from extinct tongues. You say, "Thank you." They reply, "Grack." You assume it means "you're welcome," or "go away." Grammar is optional. Tense? A suggestion. You say, "I went to market." Local corrects you. You go market yesterday, future, maybe? You nod. It feels profound. Or meaningless. Either way. You buy the turnips. Slang evolves hourly. Zibble means cool. Then it means socks. Then it means existential dread. You use it wrong. Everyone laughs. You laugh too. Better than being stabbed. Social Survival 101. Laugh at your own confusion. Written word? Carved into bark, painted on rocks, whispered onto smoke. You find a love letter etched into a tortoise shell. It reads, "You are cute." Also, slow, like me. 3 inches. You cry, a little. Poets are national treasures, or national nuisances. One recites an epic about a lost sandal. It lasts 3 days. You nap through stanza 47. He doesn't notice. The crowd doesn't care. Art is endurance here. You attend a language summit. Delegates argue whether moist should be banned for emotional safety. A riot nearly breaks out. Peace is restored when someone yells, "Zibble," everyone cheers. Crisis averted. Vocabulary saves the day. Children learn by osmosis and yelling. You watch a toddler negotiate for candy using only eyebrow raises and a well-timed sneeze. She wins. You take notes. Parenting here is 90% improvisation, 10% surrender. Accents don't exist. Everyone sounds vaguely annoyed, slightly tired, and deeply confused by verbs. You try to say, "I am lost." It comes out, "Me blob seek path." They point north. You go south. Tradition. Translation devices? Ha! You carry a parrot that squawks approximations. It calls you fleshy disappointment. You feed it anyway. Loyalty is rare, even if it's feathered, rude, and charges extra for adverbs. You kneel in a temple, not marble, not gold, but stacked river stones and wishbones. The altar holds a statue of Zeus Buddha, lightning bolt in one hand, lotus in the other. You're not sure what to pray for. Religion here didn't splinter, it smooshed. Sunday Mass includes chanting to Ra, meditating with Odin, and leaving snacks for local tree spirits. You bring granola. The tree spirit texts you later, crunchy, 4 out of 5 stars. Pilgrimages are mandatory. Not to Mecca or Jerusalem, to the slightly less dry rock. You walk 3 weeks, arrive. It's a rock. You leave an offering, a sock. It feels profound or lazy, hard to tell. Prophets emerge weekly. One claims clouds are the tears of forgotten gods. Another insists mountains are sleeping titans. You listen, nod, buy their merch. A hat that says, "I survived the sermon," barely. Holy texts, written on cave walls, sung by llamas, whispered into whirlwinds. You find one etched into a tortoise's back. It reads, "Be kind." Also, hydrate. You follow both commandments, mostly the second. Miracles are low budget. A cactus blooms out of season. A sandstorm parts for exactly 7 seconds. You witness one. A beetle recites tax law flawlessly. You weep. Or maybe it's the dust. You attend a wedding. Bride wears antlers. Groom carries a live octopus. Priest is a retired saber-tooth. Ceremony includes interpretive dance and a vow to never hoard clean water. You cry. Again. Dust, maybe. Sin is redefined. Lying? Meh. Stealing? Depends on the shell currency exchange rate. But failing to share shade? Unforgivable. You once refused to scoot over. Still getting side-eye from the village elder. Afterlife. A bureaucratic waiting room with infinite forms and lukewarm tea. You die, get a number, wait. Someone ahead of you has been there since the first rock. You bring a book and snacks. You light a candle, not for salvation, but for WIFI. The gods don't answer, but the candle smells nice. Lavender and existential doubt. You blow it out, whisper, "Thanks anyway." The universe shrugs. You shrug back. You try to navigate using stars. Bad idea. The sky's a smudged etch. A sketch thanks to atmospheric soup and satellite clutter. You squint. Orion? Or a corporate logo? Hard to tell. You guess. You're wrong. Compasses? Useless. Magnetic poles wandered off centuries ago, bored of holding direction. You buy one anyway. It spins like a tipsy ballerina at a karaoke bar. You name it, Brenda. She's your emotional support compass. Maps are folk art. You acquire one painted on mammoth hide. It shows 7 mountains, 3 rivers, and a dotted line labeled maybe dragons. You follow it. Find a goat. You name it, Kevin. He follows you now. Landmarks don't help. Everything looks the same. Beige, vast, vaguely judgmental. You pass the same cactus 3 times. It waves. Or maybe it's just the wind. You wave back. Politeness costs nothing. Costs. You ask for directions. Local points vaguely north. Just keep walking until the sky tastes salty, he says. You lick the air. It tastes like dust and regret. You keep walking. Maybe the salt's farther ahead? Or a metaphor. Ancient wayfinders used geese. Angry territorial geese. You hire a flock. They honk directions. Mostly insults. One pecks your hat off, you retrieve it, they charge you extra. Navigation here runs on feathers and fury. You find a road sign, edge of known world, 2,000 miles. You laugh, then cry, then nap. Distance is a suggestion, like grammar, like hope. You wake up, the sign's gone, probably moved by prankster tortoises. You build a sundial, it works for 17 minutes. Then the sun shrugs and slides sideways. You sigh. Timekeeping is performance art here. You applaud the sun. It doesn't care. Neither do you. Not anymore. At night, you navigate by glow moss. It pulses gently, like a lazy heartbeat. You follow it. End up at a pub run by badgers. They serve fermented cactus juice. You drink. The moss led you well, or poorly. You're not sure. You give up. Stop trying to find your way. Start letting the land lead you. You wander, get lost. Find a valley that sings when it rains. You sit, listen, realize. Sometimes being lost is the only way to be found. You hear drums, not music, marching. Armies don't invade here. They just keep walking. Forever. You peek over a dune. See helmets glinting, spears swaying. A general yells, "Forward!" or "Sideways." Direction is flexible. Conscription is casual. A recruiter taps your shoulder while you're buying turnips. "You look sturdy," he says. You say no. He says, "Cool. We'll be back after lunch." You move towns. They find you. Persistence is policy. Battles last decades. Not because they're intense, because nobody can find the front line. You join a unit. Spend 3 years digging trenches. Then someone yells, "Wrong valley!" You fill them in. Start over. Weapons. Mostly repurposed farm tools. Scythes, rakes, angry geese strapped to helmets. You get issued a shovel. Morale and entrenchment, they say. You salute. The shovel salutes back. You're pretty sure it's haunted. Trenches become towns. Soldiers marry locals. Kids grow up thinking incoming artillery means dinner bell. You attend a birthday party in no man's land. Cake shaped like a catapult. Kids love it. So do the pigeons. Deserters are common, not punished, promoted. You left? Smart. You're now chief navigator. You meet one. He's mapping clouds. Says it's strategic. You believe him, or you're just tired. Either way, you salute. War isn't declared. It's assumed. Like taxes, like bad weather. You ask why you're fighting. Officer shrugs. Tradition. Also the turnip tariffs. You nod. Makes as much sense as anything else. You sharpen your shovel. Ceasefires happen by accident. One side runs out of socks, the other side offers to trade. Diplomacy blooms in the laundry pile. You broker the deal. Get a medal shaped like a clothespin. Wear it proudly. Veterans don't retire. They open pubs. You visit one. Walls lined with rusty helmets and love letters from geese. Bartender served 50 years. Says the war's on pause. You ask when it resumes. He winks. After happy hour. You realize war here isn't about victory. It's about motion. Something to do while the continent breathes beneath you. You stop running. Sit down. Watch the army march past. Wave. They wave back. Nobody shoots. Progress? You visit the National Gallery. Not marble halls. Mud brick sheds with murals of llamas. Llamas harvesting turnips. Llamas in battle. Llamas weeping under rain clouds. You stare. Wonder if this is art or just accurate documentation. No foreign influences. No Greek columns. No Persian rugs. No Chinese porcelain. Just local clay, local dyes, local existential dread rendered in ochre and charcoal. You buy a postcard. It's a llama. Again. You send it to yourself. Sculpture, carved from driftwood that never drifted. You meet an artist chiseling a yak lizard mid-yawn. It's about the futility of ambition, he says. You nod. Buy it. Place it on your windowsill. It judges you daily. Performance art is popular. One troupe reenacts the great snail migration of 307 BP before Pangaea. It lasts 11 hours. You nap through Act 3. Wake to standing ovation. Clap, no idea why. Nobody else does either. You commission a portrait. Artist stares at you. Says, Mammal. 2 eyes. Slightly asymmetrical despair paints you as a llama with your face. You tip extra. It's weirdly accurate. You hang it above your bed. Galleries double as laundromats. You view abstract splatter paintings while waiting for your socks to dry. Curator says the red splotch represents the bleeding heart of the human condition. You say, that's beet juice. She winks. Critics wield immense power. One writes, this mural lacks emotional topography. Artist weeps, changes career to llama grooming. You attend the debut. It's majestic. The llamas look fabulous. The art world, less so. Street art thrives. Walls covered in spray-painted laments. I miss tides. Where did the whales go? Is this real life? You add your own, send help, or coffee. Someone replies beneath, coffee is a myth. You try painting. Use berry juice, mud, and existential sighs. Create a masterpiece titled The Horizon That Never Ends, and neither does this sentence. Gallery rejects it, says it's too honest. You frame it anyway. Art here doesn't challenge, it confirms. You are small. The land is vast. Llamas are eternal. You sit on a bench, staring at a mural of a llama staring back. You whisper, I see you. It doesn't blink. Neither do you. You visit the Natural History Museum. Not dinosaurs, six-winged sloths. Taxidermied, mid-yawn, labeled Specimen Number 7, probably regretting evolution. You nod. Touch the glass. It sighs. Or maybe that's you. Hard to tell these days. Darwin never came here. If he had, he'd have thrown his notebook into a volcano. Species don't adapt. They improvise. You meet a biologist who classifies creatures by vibes and how loudly they sigh. Peer review, snail mail. You attend a lecture. The biomechanics of feathered crocodiles in low humidity zones. Speaker drones for 3 hours. You nap. Wake to applause. Stand, clap, no idea what was said. Neither does the speaker. Tradition demands ovation. Field research means walking until something weird yells at you. You find a tree that bleeds lavender syrup when hugged. You hug it. It bleeds. You bottle it. Label. Emotional tree juice. Use sparingly. Sell it to poets. Fossils? Just yesterday's mistakes. You dig up a skull with 3 eye sockets and a built-in snorkel. Curator shrugs. Probably thought oceans were coming back. Cute. You place it beside a sign, hope is not a strategy. Laboratories are tense with magnifying glasses and existential dread. You peer through a lens at a beetle writing sonnets. Researcher whispers, it's revising stanza 4. Don't interrupt. You tiptoe away, art and science blur here. You try to publish a paper. On the sentience of cactus screams. Rejected. Reviewer writes, too speculative. Also, stop hugging cacti. You resubmit with data, they accept. Title change to Cactus, mildly annoyed, not sentient. Compromise. Genetics? A game of roulette with extra limbs. You meet a goat with thumbs. It opens jars. You ask how? It says evolution got bored. You hire it as your assistant. Best decision you've made since socks. Extinction is rare. Creatures don't die out. They downsize. You find a mini tiger the size of a house cat. It purrs. You adopt it. Name it Chairman Meow. It naps on your tax forms. You let it. Productivity is overrated. You realize science here isn't about answers. It's about better questions like, why does moss hum show tunes? Or, can a rock be emotionally unavailable? You write them down, frame them, call it progress. You enter the city, or what passes for one. Not skyscrapers, but stacked yurts and bamboo scaffolds stretching to the smog line. Welcome to Pangaeopolis Metro Zone 7. Population, you, and 8 million others who also forgot to leave. Commuting isn't travel, it's pilgrimage. You board the sand rail at dawn, arrive at your desk by sunset. Your boss says, you're late. You say, I crossed 3 time zones. He says, clocks are a myth. You nod. Sit down. Housing? Vertical caves carved into mesa sides. You rent level 47. Elevators broken. Stairs smell like regret and yesterday's cactus stew. You climb. Legs burn. Soul numbs. You unlock your door. Collapse. Call it home. It doesn't answer. Traffic never moves. Camel ox carts, yak bikes, and pedestrians arguing about the wet place clog every artery. You walk. It's faster. Also, you can nap while standing. Skill unlocked. Sleep while upright. Level, expert. Public transit runs on hope and fermented yak milk. You buy a ticket. Conductor stamps it with a potato, says, good luck. Next stop. Maybe you sit. Watch the horizon blur. Wonder if maybe is a place or a state of mind. You meet a neighbor. He's lived here 40 years, still unpacking. I'm waiting for the view to change, he says. You look out. Same beige, same haze, same vulture. You bring him soup, he cries or coughs, hard to tell. Nightlife? Rooftop bars where poets recite odes to lost coastlines. You sip lukewarm cactus juice. Someone yells, I miss waves. Crowd cheers. Owner dims lights. Says, last call before curfew. You ask why. He shrugs. Tradition. Delivery apps exist, sort of. You order noodles. Rider arrives 3 days later, on foot, covered in dust. You tip in shells. He bows, says, your patience is admirable. You say, my hunger is not. He laughs. So do you, barely. Power outages are daily. Not from storms, from bureaucracy. You light a candle, read by Glow Moss. Write a letter to your past self. Don't move here, seal it, burn it. The smoke spells too late. You sigh, keep reading. You realize cities here don't pulse, they sigh. A slow, tired exhalation of people, dust, and unmet expectations. You lean out your window. Watch the street breathe below. Whisper, we're all just waiting for something to change. Nothing does. You meet the nomads, not wanderers, but escape artists. They move in silence, trading stories for socks, maps for mercy. You ask why they run. One whispers, because staying is the real prison. You pack a bag, join them. Their camp hides in canyon shadows, tents woven from storm grass and stubborn hope. No addresses, no taxes, no bureaucrats asking why you haven't updated your llama census form. You breathe. It feels illegal. You love it. They teach you to read the wind, not for weather, for warnings. A shift means soldiers. A sigh means spies. A whistle? Just Uncle Borvo tuning his bone flute. You learn fast. Survival hinges on listening to air. You help smuggle contraband. Not drugs, not weapons. Seashells. Fossilized, salt-crusted, smuggled from the Great Salt Flats. Rumored to be all that's left of the ancient sea. You cradle one. It hums. Or maybe that's your heartbeat. Rebellion here isn't loud. It's lace. Tiny acts stitched together. A child leaves a shell on a tax collector's pillow. A poet changes one word in the state hymn. A baker adds extra salt to the emperor's bread. You join, quietly, proudly. You attend a secret school. Curriculum: how to forget borders, how to draw maps with no edges, how to whisper without moving lips. Final exam: walk into town, buy turnips, say nothing. You pass. They give you a seashell diploma. The empire hunts them. Not with dogs, with accountants. Auditors track unregistered sock exchanges and unlicensed horizon gazing. You evade them by napping in plain sight. Bureaucrats can't process stillness. You snore. They leave. Victory through inertia. You fall in love with a cartographer who maps dreams. Her latest, the coast that never was. You trace it with your finger. She kisses your knuckle, says, someday we'll walk it. You believe her. Or you want to. Either way, you hold her hand. They celebrate moonless nights, not for romance, for invisibility. Whole villages vanish, reappear miles away by dawn. You wake up in a new canyon, same people, new view. You whisper, is this magic? They say, no. Just practice. You realize freedom here isn't a place, it's a rhythm. Step light. Speak soft. Leave no footprints. You stop looking for exits. Start savoring the in-between. The pause, the breath, the quiet hum of a seashell against your ear. You wake to chanting, not monks, meteorologists. They call themselves sky priests. Robes stitched from storm clouds. Hats shaped like nimbus. You ask for rain. They say, tithe first. You hand them your last sock. They nod. The sky remains dry. Clouds are holy here. Not weather, deities. You attend a sermon where the high nimbus preaches on the virtue of drizzle. Congregation weeps, or maybe it's just humidity. You dab your eyes, offer a beat. It's accepted as sacrament. Rain is taxed, not the water, the anticipation. You file Form 7B. Request for precipitation, mild to moderate. Clerk stamps it, says, allow 3 to 5 business moons. You ask if expedited service exists. He laughs. Lightning cracks outside. Coincidence? You doubt it. You tithe in hopes. Not coins, not shells. Hopes. Whispered into copper funnels, carried aloft by trained geese. You whisper, let me see an ocean. The goose squawks, flies off, returns with a pebble. You keep it, call it faith. Sky temples perch on mesas, open to the heavens. No roofs, no walls, just you, the wind, and a very patient priest holding an umbrella. You kneel, pray for mist. He sighs, says, "The sky is contemplative today." You wait, so does he. Festivals celebrate atmospheric indifference. The Day of Patient Skies involves sitting very still and staring upward for 14 hours. Winner gets a certificate and a slightly damp towel. You compete. Win, frame the towel, call it art. Children are taught to read skies like scripture. If the clouds blush pink, offer turnips. If they rumble, apologize for your ancestors. You watch a toddler bow to a thunderhead. It grumbles. She bows deeper. The storm moves on. Respect works. You commission a sky portrait. Artist paints your hopes onto vapor using berry juice and badger hairbrushes. It lasts 17 minutes. Then the wind eats it. You clap. Transient beauty, the artist says. You tip in expired hopes. She thanks you. Droughts are penance. Floods are blessings. You experience both in the same week. Stand knee-deep in mud, whispering thanks while shivering. A priest pats your shoulder. The sky forgives, he says. You sneeze. He adds, eventually. You stop begging the sky, start listening. Hear its sighs, its pauses, its quiet grumbles. Realize it's not ignoring you, it's indifferent. And that's okay. You sit on a ridge, watch clouds drift, whisper, "I'm still here." The sky doesn't answer. You don't need it to. You feel it first in your teeth, a low, grinding hum. The ground shivers, not an earthquake, a shrug. The continent stretching its legs after eons of stillness. You drop your canteen. It rolls, the earth rolls with it. Cracks bloom like black flowers across the plain, not fissures, invitations. Locals cheer. "The crust is waking," they yell. You ask if that's good. They shrug. Better than snoring. You pick up your canteen, start walking, away, always away. Mountains hiccup, not erupt, adjust. One peak slides 3 feet east, another yawns, revealing a cave full of fossilized socks. You peek in, take one. It's Argyle. You whisper, "Thank you, Earth." It doesn't respond, but the sock fits. Rivers change course overnight, not due to rain, to whim. You wake to find your campsite now a peninsula. Your boots, adrift. You wade after them. Shout, "Hey, I need those." The river burbles. Unimpressed, you retrieve them. Soggy. Still better than barefoot. The Great Salt Flats bubble. Not with water, with memory. Geysers spit up seashells, coral fragments, and soggy scrolls labeled "Property of Atlantis, maybe." You catch one. It reads, "Tide schedule, never." You tuck it into your journal. Call it history. Animals panic. Or party. Hard to tell. Feathered crocs throw impromptu parades. 6-winged sloths slide down newly tilted hills, giggling. You join. Slide on your back. Laugh. The ground laughs with you. Or maybe it's just tectonic gas. Sky priests declare it divine recalibration. Hold emergency sermons atop trembling mesas. Congregation clings to pews. One yells, "Is this forgiveness or fury?" High Nimbus replies, "Yes." You nod. That tracks. You tie the shoe, just in case. You meet a geologist. She grins, wild-eyed. "The plates are gossiping again," she yells over rumbling. Shows you a map, continents labeled "still not breaking." Yet you ask, "Yet?" She winks. "Hope is a strategy now." You buy her a drink. Cities don't collapse. They resettle. Streets tilt. Buildings lean. Citizens prop them with yak bones and stubbornness. You help shove a bakery upright. Owner gives you a loaf. Slightly squished. You eat it. Tastes like resilience. And cinnamon. You stand on a ridge as the land groans beneath you. Not in pain, in awakening. You whisper, "So you're not dead." The wind carries your words. The earth shifts. You shift with it. No longer a guest, a participant, finally. You hear the stampede before you see it. Not hooves, but feet. Billions of them. The great inland migration has begun. Not by choice, by necessity. The land shrugs and humanity stumbles after it like toddlers chasing a rolling ball. Cities empty overnight, not abandoned, relocated. You watch bureaucrats pack scrolls into yak carts. One yells, "Take the filing cabinets!" The empire runs on paperwork. You grab your canteen, leave the desk, follow the dust cloud. You join a caravan. Not merchants, survivors. Mothers with babies strapped to backs, elders carried on hammocks, teens trading socks for stale bread. You offer your Argyle sock. Get half a loaf. Fair trade. You eat walking, crumbs fall. Ants follow. Water is currency again. Not shells, not hopes. Actual, sloshing, lukewarm water. You guard your canteen like a dragon guards gold. Someone tries to steal it, you glare. They apologize, offer you a beetle, you accept. Protein is protein. The sky priests walk among the migrants, collecting tithes in hollow gourds. Offer your thirst, they chant. You whisper your longing for rain into the gourd. It echoes. Or maybe that's your stomach. You keep walking. You meet a family who've walked 800 miles. Their shoes, made of cactus leather and stubbornness. You admire them. They gift you a pair. They pinch. You wear them anyway. Fashion is dead. Function is king. Long live the cactus sandal. Night camps glow with bioluminescent moss and whispered stories. You lie down. Listen. Tales of the edge, of oceans, of blue. You close your eyes. Dream of waves. Wake to dust. Smile anyway. The dream is yours. No one can tax it. Children lead the way, not because they're brave, because they're light. They scamper ahead, scouting paths, dodging fissures, laughing at danger. You follow one. She's 6, carries a seashell, says it sings her to sleep. You believe her. You lose your map, or maybe the land lost it for you. Doesn't matter. Direction is a rumor now. You walk toward the hum, the deep, grinding song of the waking crust. It feels like purpose or indigestion. Either way, you follow. You realize migration isn't movement. It's surrender. To the land. To change. To the fact that home isn't where you plant your flag. It's where you plant your feet next. You stop looking back, start looking down. The ground is alive. So are you. You hear the legend before you believe it. Whispered in night camps, carved into canyon walls, sung by geese who've forgotten their migration routes. The split that never was. You ask what it means. They say, the wound that healed wrong. Elders tell it differently. Some say the continents tried to break apart, but the crust clutched tighter, like a child afraid of the dark. Others say the oceans fled, ashamed of how dry we'd become. You listen, nod, take notes, add doodles. Children acted out in schoolyards, arms spread wide, then snapping shut with a yell, "Pangaea forever!" You watch, clap. One kid plays the Atlantic. Falls down, gets back up, yells, "I'm still here, just underground." You give him your last beat. Poets write epics about it. 7 volumes. You read volume 1. It's 900 pages of geological yearning and misplaced coral. You nap. Dream of tectonic plates slow dancing. Wake with a sigh. Realize you've been holding the book upside down. Doesn't matter. You meet a historian who claims the split happened. In dreams. Every night, the land cracks open. Oceans rush in, we swim, we laugh, then we wake. He shows you his journal. Page after page of blue scribbles. You cry or yawn. Hard to tell. Relics surface during tremors. Fossilized boat oars, barnacle-encrusted street signs, a buoy that whispers lullabies. You cradle one. It hums a tune you almost recognize. You sing back, off-key. The buoy doesn't judge. The land does. It rumbles. You stop singing. Sky priests call it heresy. The land is whole. The land is eternal. They burn effigies of fissures. You attend one. Throw in a sock. Feel guilty after. Retrieve it. The sock is fine. The guilt lingers. You wear the sock. As penance or fashion. You commission a mural. Artist paints the moment the split didn't happen. Plates reaching, then clasping hands like old friends refusing to say goodbye. You stare. Whisper, "We chose this." The artist nods, adds a tear to the crust's eye. Lovers use it as metaphor. Our hearts are like Pangaea, never meant to break. You overhear one proposal. Guy gets down on one knee. Girl says, "Only if we never drift." He agrees. They hug. The ground sighs. You sigh louder. Love is geological here. You stop calling it a myth. Start calling it a mirror. The split that never was isn't about land. It's about us. Our fear of change. Our hunger for edges. You sit under a sky with no horizon. Whisper, maybe we're the ones who never broke. You stand where the ocean should be. Not water. Salt. Endless, glittering, crunching underfoot like broken promises. You kneel. Scoop a handful. Taste it. Salty. Hollow. You whisper, is this all that's left? The wind doesn't answer. It never does. No waves, no tides, no gulls crying overhead, just silence, thick and heavy, pressing down like a wool blanket left in a kiln. You shout. Your voice vanishes. Swallowed. You shout again, louder. Still nothing. The land absorbs sound like regret. You find a buoy, half buried, barnacle-crusted. You dig it out, shake it. It hums, a low, mournful tune you almost remember. You sing along, badly. The buoy doesn't care. Neither does the salt flat. You keep singing, for yourself, for the ghosts of gulls. Children come here on field trips, not to learn, to mourn. Teacher points at the horizon, says, this is where the blue used to live. One kid cries. You kneel, hand her your canteen. Drink, you say. It's not the sea, but it's wet. She sips, smiles, briefly. Lovers carve initials into salt crust. K plus R forever, unless it rains. You trace the letters. They crumble. You sigh. Nothing lasts here. Not love, not memory, not even salt. Especially not salt. It dissolves in tears. You've tested it. Fishermen cast nets into mirages, pull up empty. Every time, they don't stop. Tradition demands persistence. You ask why? One shrugs. Maybe today's the day the water remembers. You nod, sit beside him, cast your own net, pull up dust, call it practice. You meet an old woman who claims she's seen the tide. Once, in a dream, or maybe a fever. She shows you a jar of ocean. It's blue dye and glitter. You thank her. Buy it. Place it on your windowsill. At sunset, it almost glows. Almost. Poets come here to die. Or to write. Hard to tell the difference. You find one, slumped over a notebook, pen in hand. Last line. The sea forgot us. We forgot how to miss it. You close the book, leave a seashell on the cover, walk away. You lie down, spread your arms, let the salt cradle you. Stare up. No clouds, no birds, just sky, vast, empty, indifferent. You whisper, I remember you? To the sea? To yourself? Doesn't matter. The words hang, then sink, like stones, like ships. You get up, brush off the salt. It clings, like memory, like grief. You walk away, not toward anything, just away. The salt flat stretches behind you, glittering under a sun that never sets. You don't look back. You don't need to. You carry the ocean inside now. Dry, but yours. The wind doesn't howl here anymore. It hums, a low, patient vibration beneath your feet through your bones, like the continent itself is breathing in slow tectonic sighs. You've walked farther than maps dare name, seen skies that forgot how to rain, met creatures stitched together by evolution's whimsy and desperation. You've bartered socks for survival, worshipped clouds for mercy, and wept over salt that remembers the sea better than you do. You thought you were searching for edges, for breaks, for proof that something once shattered and left a scar. But the land never broke. It held on, tight, stubborn, like a child afraid of the dark, or a lover refusing to let go. And maybe, just maybe, you did too. You clung to myths of oceans, to dreams of tides, to the ache of a horizon that never changed. But the truth is softer, stranger. You didn't lose the ocean. You absorbed it. Its memory, its longing, its quiet, crushing weight. So here's my question for you, as the sun slumps sideways again and the geese begin their evening gossip. If you could unbreak something in your own life, what would it be? A relationship? A dream? A version of yourself you left buried under salt and should'ves? Drop it in the comments. Whisper it to the sky. The land might not answer, but I will. And maybe, Just maybe, that's enough.